Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to our program Inside Pakistan, where we discuss inside news that happened last week for those who are outside. I'm your host Faisal Hassan. Assalamu alaikum. So we will go over the news that happened, the major issues that happened last week, and the top issue that has not only become a weekly issue, but it's a daily issue right now. It's the inflation, the higher prices that are skyrocketing every single day. And I mean, common items like flour and rice and oil, cooking oil, vegetables, meat. This is becoming absolutely out of the reach of the common man. So we will discuss the inflation first. Needless to say that it's not a wave anymore of inflation. People would say there's a new wave of inflation. No, I think it's a tsunami. It's a tsunami of inflation, and people, a common citizen of Pakistan, they are drowning in this tsunami. The situation is worsening day by day. Like the gasoline prices, the energy prices, like utility prices, like electricity, gas, petrol, they are increasing almost on a weekly basis. Like the price of gasoline has gone up like 3 times in the last couple of weeks. So when the price of gas goes up, which means the price of the petrol goes up, the price of everything goes up. And I mean, we all know that. Because the fares, the logistics, the transportation, everything increases, and it gives everyone an excuse to raise the prices of everything, from common food items like vegetables. And if you say something to them, their only excuse is, look at the gas prices. And it's not even, it's not even funny anymore. I mean, first people would just say out of habit that things are expensive, but now you can see the sadness of on the people's faces, because everything is getting out of the reach, and this inflation is, it has no end. It's just not stopping. This is the reason we chose this topic as the most important topic of this week, because this inflation is literally not funny anymore. Like the common person, a common man who is earning a regular livelihood, it's becoming harder and harder for him to survive. People are actually like shrinking their food tables. I mean, people who are eating 3 times a day, I don't think they can eat anymore 3 times a day. Because the prices of food are, the pay is same, the salary is same. It's a 2 + 2 math. Your income is the same as like 3 years ago, but the prices of every single commodity is increasing on a daily basis. Be it medicine, be it food, be it gasoline, be it utilities, clothes, shoes, you name it. Furniture, construction material, everything is skyrocketing. Now the million-dollar question is, who is pulling these strings? Why this insane inflation in Pakistan? And the answer to that million-dollar question is IMF. This is what the politicians tell us too. Because they have taken a huge amount of loans from IMF. For those of you who don't know what IMF is, International Monetary Fund. I'd rather call it International Mutilation Fund, because that's exactly what they do. They mutilate nations. An International Monetary Fund is not supposed to help nations. It's supposed to drown nations into a debt that they cannot get rid of in their lifetimes. Perfect example is Pakistan. We are paying the installments that we are paying to IMF. That's not the actual premium. This is just the interest. This is the installment of the interest on the loan that we have taken, like let's say 2 years ago. They pull the strings. They dictate. They tell the politicians. They tell our lawmakers to increase the prices of this and that, every single thing, because they want to make sure that the installment of the interest of their debt is paid off on timely basis. So they have made fresh agreements with IMF. And let me tell you what those fresh agreements are. Usually those fresh agreements are that IMF says that because you couldn't pay the last installment like fully, so that's why you have to increase prices you have to increase the taxes, the sales tax, the GST, you name it. So every single meeting with the IMF, it means like a bigger knife on Pakistani's throat. With the inflation, with things being so expensive. You go to the market to buy one thing, you go next day, the price is different. And I have experienced it myself. This is not an exaggeration. Every single day, the prices of everything is increasing. People are suffocating with inflation. Now, one of the biggest tragedy on top of this is the cruel attitude of our politicians. These lawmakers, they come on live TV shows, and when you tell them that people are dying, people are suffocating, people cannot survive, a common person cannot survive, their attitude towards this is absolutely ridiculous. They come up with these lame excuses. Oh, look at this country, look at that country. In Europe too, the prices of gas have gone up. I mean, how can you even compare it with Europe? The price of gasoline in Europe is proportionate to the income a person is making. Is the price of petrol in Pakistan proportionate to an average salary? It's almost 150 rupees per liter. So how can a person who's making 20,000 rupees, they can afford this kind of petrol? So even if it's even if it's 200 rupees per liter in Europe, the income level of a European is much higher than an average Pakistani. So they give these ridiculous excuses. Instead of admitting, yes, there is inflation, we couldn't do things right, and instead of having a sympathetic behavior, they have no sympathy towards people. On top of that, they actually make fun. There are politicians, they came on live TV, they gave suggestions like people should count the cubes of sugar. You should eat one bread instead of two. These are the solutions, these are the suggestions they give for Pakistans to cope with this inflation. So that was the most important thing in my book, because inflation has gone so high that it's a matter of survival now. And if you can't survive, there's nothing. I mean, if you don't have bread on the table for your kids and family, nothing else is important to you. So that was the most important issue. We'll come to the second one. Second issue that made the headlines in Pakistan last week, throughout the week, was the crisis in Judiciary. Apparently, this ex-Chief Justice of Pakistan, ex-Chief Justice Saqib Nisar, I mean, God knows how he became the Chief Justice. What kind of a system we have that a guy like Saqib Nisar, who is not even worthy of becoming a witness in a trial, forget about being a lawyer or, anything else. He's not even worthy of becoming a witness. He robbed nation of so much money on that damn fund. Everyone knows that. This is not my personal opinion. So there is a big scandal about it. Apparently, he said something, the audio was leaked. And the crisis, when I say crisis judiciary, I don't mean just one Chief Justice. The only thing I find troubling is that, for example, if a Chief Justice or whoever, he's a person at the end of the day. He has done something bad or wrong, and if you call it out, they say this is a contempt of court. So, the court has become a sacred cow where you can't even say like black is black and white is white. Like, for example, if a Chief Justice has made a poor judgment or a bad decision, and you just like call it out. You say this was a bad decision. They say it's a contempt of court, and it's that you're considered a criminal. So that's another tragedy of it. That for if you, I mean, the system is wrong. The system is cruel. And when I say that system is wrong and the system is cruel, I'll ask you, I mean, I'll back the statement with a question. Can you ask any Pakistani who has had a good experience with a court? I mean, people tremble when you tell them that they have to deal with a court or something. So if the court is the house of justice, people should be at peace. People should feel good about going there. People should have hope that we'll get justice. But do you, or like anyone you know that has said that I had the time of my life in the court, I was given justice, I was given it timely, on time, I was given promptly, I was compensated for my losses. I mean, the judgment was absolutely tremendous. Like, do you know anyone? So in that light, I'm saying that, I mean, the whole system needs to be looked at, and if we don't look at it, people like, you know, the ex-Chief Justice, I mean, they'll keep popping up because the way the system works, it'll churn out the same kind of people. We covered 2 issues. There are a couple of more issues, very important ones, but we'll get to them right after this break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. So before the break, we were discussing judiciary. So our third topic is relevant to judiciary, which means that the Supreme Court of Pakistan has called the Prime Minister to inquire about the progress that they have made about the Peshawar attack. You remember Peshawar attack, right? The Army Public School attack. I think it was back in 2014. Yes. It happened in December or November. So the Supreme Court has called upon the Prime Minister to ask him that what has the government done about the investigation, about the inquiry, about the case of that one of the biggest terrorist attacks in the history of Pakistan. Now this, I mean, in spirit, this is a good thing. That the Supreme Court has called upon the government, especially when you see that the government is actually talking about reconciliation with the TTP and the other factions, the people who had slaughtered the innocent citizens of Pakistan. The government has shown signs that they're willing to negotiate, or they're willing to reconcile with them, sit down with them, and maybe bring them into like the mainstream politics. So these kind of signs are there. By the way, they are all everywhere in the newspapers. So I guess maybe in that light, the government has, the Supreme Court has called upon the Prime Minister to see what's the progress on the APS attack. So like I said, on the face and in the spirit of this this calling, this is a good thing. But what I find troubling in this is that why the Supreme Court has only called upon the government or the Prime Minister on one terrorist attack. I mean, it was big, it was very big, but was it the only one? I mean, what about the other terrorist attacks, the thousands that claimed thousands of lives? I mean, the streets of Quetta are still wet. They're still stained with the blood of innocent citizens. What about those Hazara people? What about other people that were killed in Karachi, Lahore, I mean, KP, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Sindh, Balochistan, Quetta? I mean, why only Peshawar? So this is, I mean, this is a little, you can say, ironic, or however you want to say it, or hypocritical, that either the Supreme Court only considers one event as the terrorist event, or the government only considers just one event as a terrorist event. I mean, all the other thousands of blasts, thousands of terrorist incidents. I mean, from 2009 to 2013, Pakistan saw a lot of bloodshed. I mean, 4 to 5 years. They were non-stop. Even all the law enforcement agencies, our intelligence agencies, our army, our air force bases, our police stations, they were all targeted. Men, women, children were killed. They were Pakistanis too. They were the men of God too. They were real, like, living people who died, who were martyred by these terrorist attacks. But the Supreme Court is only calling upon Prime Minister to check up on one event. I mean, more than 100 children, they were brutally killed in the APS attack. But if you see at the other incidents, there are thousands of other children that were killed too. So that's why we wanted to bring it to your attention that we found this a little bit strange, you can say, for a lack of better word, that it's a little bit strange that the Supreme Court is taking the notice of only one terrorist attack, the APS, and ignoring all the rest. Have all the other cases been solved? People have been given justice. All the thousands of people that died, their families, have they gotten justice? Are those killers, they have been caught? Those terrorists have been hanged, they have been given life sentences. I mean, are all those 1,000 cases, their books are closed now? Those cases are closed? That the government is only focusing on the APS? APS is big. APS was absolutely one of the worst things that happened in Pakistan. But that doesn't mean that we let down the other incidents that claimed the life of other Pakistanis too in other terrorist incidents. While talking about the Prime Minister, let's talk about his commitments and his U-turns. Prime Minister himself has said that the signs of a great leader is that he just backs off from what he said. This is what the Prime Minister said. It's on the record. The Pakistani media plays it from time to time. So one of the biggest U-turn, and this we will connect it to the first issue of inflation that we spoke about earlier in the program. One of the biggest U-turn he has taken is that he had said on the record that the Prime Minister of Pakistan, that I will commit suicide if I ever have to go to IMF. And I think, he's more of a frequent flyer to IMF than anybody else. IMF is literally in Pakistan like every week. We talked about it like 20 minutes ago. The inflation, that they're pulling the strings. But the Imran Khan, Prime Minister Imran Khan, he has our Prime Minister, the Honorable Prime Minister, he has taken a U-turn again on the IMF thingy, and we are witnessing the results of that. I think he just made a little bit of change in his commitment or in his pledge. He said he will commit suicide, but instead of, I guess, killing himself, he has changed his mind, and he'd rather kill the people of Pakistan with the inflation and with the rising prices. I think he has made a little adjustment in his, it's not a complete U-turn. He has taken just like a right or left turn on it because somebody is getting killed, but it's not the Prime Minister. He is not committing suicide. He's okay. But then average citizen of Pakistan, he cannot breathe anymore. It's getting suffocating for him day by day with the rising prices. I drive in Lahore. I see people. I see the look on their faces. I have seen people arguing with the vendors that give us something for 10 rupees, give us something for 20 rupees, and the vendor refusing them. I have seen it with my own eyes, that a person cannot even buy a vegetables or fruit for his kids. And this is, we said it and you heard it from our show, but it's a real saddening situation. I hope that the people of Pakistan will find salvation from this satanic system. I would call it satanic, because if people can't live, it's a satanic system. So And I hope that the people of, only people, this is the divine law given by Allah, that only people, I mean, Allah says, and I mean, this is just, I'm just giving you the summary of that, ayat, that Allah says that those who do not change, I mean, those who don't change their own destiny, their destiny will not be changed. So the people of Pakistan have to choose their destiny. They have to get rid of these corrupt politicians, these cruel politicians who have no sympathy towards people, who make fun of people's miseries and the poverty of people. They make fun of them. So the divine laws are there, Allah's laws are there, that people have to rise, and they have to claim their own rights, and they have to get rid of this corrupt system. So it's up to the people. We hope that the people of Pakistan, the country of Pakistan, it stays safe, and the people of Pakistan, they can find salvation in this whole crisis, and things do become better, where we find, I mean, happiness, and people can live comfortable, healthy lives in Pakistan. This is my prayer from the depth of my heart. On this note, I will say goodbye to you. Until next week, we'll see you next week. Allah Hafiz.